Progress.
First of all, we pray for the help of Srila Prabhupada, Shishi Panchatattva, Shishi Radha Madan Mohan, Shishi Radha Govinda, Shishi Radha Gopinath. Please empower us, if you so desire, to expand Srila Prabhupada's mission to distribute Srimad Bhagavatam all over the planet. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Extremely productive when we come together with the idea of furthering the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and very specifically, we have indications from Srila Prabhupada that the way that will be very effective in doing this is to expand the distribution of Srimad Bhagavatams. It's noteworthy that on the Jaladuta, Srila Prabhupada was thinking out loud on paper that people would not be able to overcome their problems, which include repeated birth and death, except by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. That's profound. Not only that, he went out of his way to render Srimad Bhagavatam into English and then urged us, to his followers, to put it into as many languages as possible and distribute throughout the whole world. And he gave us that legacy. So we're really fortunate, as even if we try even a little bit, it means that we're fulfilling the will of our founder, Acharya Srila Prabhupada, and pleasing Krishna by serving the pure devotee. What to speak of the ways in which Krishna talks about the importance of Srimad Bhagavatam, or spreading the Bhagavat culture to people who have fallen into the ocean of material existence. So thank you for dedicating your lives and for being on this call today so that we can try to pull off another miracle. As Mahatma Prabhu said on one of these calls last year, that's how we get our fun as devotees, is making the impossible possible by Lord Chaitanya's mercy. Hare Krishna. So, Shamahini, do you have any opening remarks? And also ask Vilas Manjari, Devi Dasi, and other leaders if you want to make some points before we get started.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I don't have many remarks. I just want to thank everybody who's on the call. Some of our very important leaders from Oceania and Far East are on this call, and I'm very grateful that you were able to make it in spite of the very late notice for this call, and it's not our usual time. We usually organize our calls on Sunday morning for your time. So thank you so much. We have leaders. We have Vilas Manjari from Australia, Rukmini Mohan Prabhu from Fiji, Geeta Govinda is representing New Zealand today, and Krishna Bhavna from Devi Dasi from Taipei, Jai Shri Devi Dasi from Japan, Mahat Sevaka Prabhu is from Australia, Nimai Sachisuta Prabhu from Thailand. So we have a very good representation. Thank you so much.
Vilas Manjari, would you like to say anything before we start, representing that part of the world?
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances for Sheshika Prabhu and all the devotees here. Yeah, I'll just say, yes, it's so nice to have this meeting, even though it was last minute, and here in Australia, devotees, it's Saturday morning, so they can't come, but I'll be sharing the recording later. And I'm just so appreciative to have your input and have your support. It makes a huge difference. So thank you very much for organizing this. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. So anyway, we're going to be including many of the leaders today who can present. But I'm going to go into a slide deck to just give us a little orientation, so we know where we stand in our onward march towards expanding the distribution of Srimad Bhagavatam in the world. Somehow or other, we got the perfect excuse to do this, which is the Bhadra Purnima. which pretty much was a dream come true to have a special day nailed down in the Srimad Bhagavatam that would impel us and compel us to give our undivided attention to expansion, to its expansion. So go back to the first slide and we'll look at the campaign, which is Save Earth Now. As you've noticed, every year we have a branding, a certain thrust to the campaign. So make it fresh. It's not the same every year, although it's always Bhadra. This year it's on September 10th. And the phrase Save Earth Now is a phrase that resonates because it was there early on, I think in one of the newspapers, Village Voice. And it's a good time to restore it because the world's in disarray. And as I said before, and it bears repeating again and again, Prabhupada saw the distribution of Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavat culture, as the only way to solve the problems of the earth. And let's take a look and see how we've been doing. So right now we're in the 5th year of the Bhadra Purnima, and the first 2 years, 2018 and 19, look like a little plateau, maybe even a little dip down. And it's amazing and telling that 2020 saw one of the biggest increases in book distribution in general in the history of ISKCON, in times when we might say that it was dire. We did the best we've ever done. It reminds me of Queen Kunti praying for hard times, or not minding that they come anyway, because at those times we tend to depend on Krishna more, and it seems that's what happened around the world as well. But it wasn't a fluke, because we did it again in 2021, even as people's awareness of the pandemic or their attitude towards it started to adjust a little bit. And now, of course, let's take a look at what we're looking for this year and going forward. This is a design that we've been distributing in the form of buttons and stickers and so forth, and announcing individually to various leaders around the world. See, at the top is 100K, and what that means is by 2026, the description at the bottom, we'd like to have the capacity, we will have the capacity, as we continue in the vein where we are now, to distribute at least 100,000 Srimad Bhagavatam sets worldwide in 1 year. So we're working on developing capacity to get there. And it means, just like with anything, physical development, mental development, have to work on it over time and take stair steps upward to get to the kind of capacity we want to have. Somebody who can't do even one pull-up has to start with just hanging on the bar, and then maybe you can get one. If you want to get to 10, you got to keep practicing till you get to 3, 6, 9, and then we'll hit number 10 at a certain time. So that's what we're going to do. And then that means that this year, our goal on our pathway to 100,000 in 2026 is to distribute at least 43,000 sets of Bhagavatams worldwide. What does that mean practically? It means that everyone who has so far surrendered to the process and is swimming in the nectar, really, of the distribution of Srimad Bhagavatam would do well to increase by at least 23%. If we get a 23% increase year over year, we can develop the capacity to do 100,000 sets by 2026. This is our number for this year. Now here's a few looks at the continental tracking that we're doing. So you see at the bottom, it says 101. So in 2021 for New Zealand, the pledge was 94. And the current pledge is 101. If New Zealand were to do a 23% increase, it would be 116. Good to know, right? Can you explain a little bit more about the numbers of what we're looking at? Are we talking about 23% increase in pledges or actual numbers, or what's the base?
Prabhu, for this slide, the purpose of this calculation, the base is the pledges. So in 2021, the pledge was, as you said, 94, and the current pledge is 101. So if we were to do a 23% increase, it would be 116 sets at least for this year.
Do we have the numbers that they actually did?
I believe we have devotees from New Zealand on the call, and while I pull up the numbers, perhaps they can also comment if that's okay, Prabhu.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Geeta Govinda, or I don't know if Bhava Sandisha had joined. Geeta Govinda, do you have? Would you like to share an update while I pull up the numbers from what was the actual for New Zealand?
Sure.
Last.
Hare Krishna Prabhu and all the devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I'm just filling in for Baba Sandy today, but so I know what our goals are this year. The goal for Auckland is 63, and we've done 14 so far. And the goal for Bhakti Lounge Wellington is 30, and so far we've done 10. The goal for ISKCON Center for Culture and Education in Wellington is 5, and they've done 1 so far. And then the Hamilton goal is 3, and they've done 3. So that's the information I have.
Thank you very much. Information helps, doesn't it? Geeta Govinda?
Yes.
I mean, if we don't know where we've been, don't know how we're increasing year after year.
Sorry, Prabhu, I just need 1 minute to pull up the numbers from last year because it's on my computer that I'm using to share the screen. If you'd like the numbers from last year, or should we continue with Australia while I pull up the numbers?
No, we could talk amongst ourselves.
Okay, great. Sham Bhakti Mat, she helped. She messaged me. 98 sets were distributed because she has been responsible for collecting the data as well. So 98 sets were distributed last year in New Zealand, where their pledge was 94. And so the pledge was 94. They distributed a total of 98 sets. So the current pledge is 101, and the increase would take them to 116.
Okay. How do you all feel about that in New Zealand? Like having, what I mean is, how do you feel about having a sense of the 23% and looking at that as a way to fill in the world increase, going for the 100,000?
Yes, I think we'd like to increase by 23%. I know in Wellington, where I am, our goal last year was, I think it was 24, and we increased our goal by 23%, which made it 30, I believe. So, but yeah, I can pass that along to Baba Sandhi for a 30%, for a 23% increase overall for New Zealand.
Thank you so much. It's amazing what you're doing over there, because the field that you're working with is different, obviously, than a lot of other places. And I think that through your innovations, plus enthusiasm. You're really trendsetters and doing an amazing job. Thank you. Okay, let's look at Australia. And why don't you talk about the numbers, Shamahini?
Yes, Prabhu. So the pledge for Australia for 2021 was 228, and a 23% increase would take us to 280, and their current pledge is 300. So they've smashed, at least in the pledge is over the 23% mark. And Shambhakti Mataji, can you please tell us how many sets they did last year? Or probably we'll ask Manjari is on the call and she may have the numbers as well.
So it's 348. They distributed 348.
$348 sets in 2021 were done. They distributed. Thank you. And the current pledge is 300 sets.
Okay. Anyone from Australia want to speak about this a little bit? How you're feeling over there?
Yeah, I can say a few words. Mahat Sevak Prabhu is also on the call. So I just did a quick calculation. So our current pledge is 300. And so far in Australia, we've distributed 193 sets. So it's looking very positive. This is a lot of Bhagavatam sets for Australia. To have done this in previous years, it was always just in the last few weeks. And I know we're getting into the last 4 weeks, and I know that some centres are really going to focus now, following these festivals, Janmashtami on. I do have a tiny little slideshow with 4 slides on it. I've collected a few pictures from Australia just to give a little snapshot of what's has been happening here in the last few months. Would I be able to share my screen?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. So let's see. Can you all see that?
Yes.
Okay, great. So this is what's been happening for over the last 4 months. So I thought I'd put this on first because we started with a book distribution seminar run by Malini Mataji and SKP Prabhu. And this was really, really helpful because they set up this seminar in a way that all the participants had to commit to some practice as well as theory. So you couldn't just come along to the seminar. There was a pre-seminar meeting for all the leaders, and we had about 25 leaders come on, and there was a whole preparation that they had to do. And Melanie and SKP guided them through that preparation, getting set up with trolleys and book tables and permissions, and trying to find in each centre two or three, a group of 2 or 3, or in a big centre, 1 or 2 groups or 3 groups. It wasn't a big ask, but trying to find at least 3 or 4 devotees who would commit to coming out after the seminar and putting the theory into practice. So that worked really well because all the leaders did a lot of preparation for that, got themselves set up, and at the seminar we had over 50 participants, book distributors from around Australia, New Zealand and Fiji. So it was very positive, and as a result, we all got out there and started practicing. And I would say previous to this, in previous years in Australia, the focus has been on distributing Bhagavatam sets within the congregation, and that this seminar had helped us to get out there with the Bhagavatam sets out in the public, and that's been going on a lot. So especially book tables seem to have taken off. Book tables at fairs. Here's some photos from Perth and from the Gold Coast, where they've been distributing Srimad Bhagavatam. And I liked this, so I put it in, sent to me last night, Madhavananda Prabhu on the Gold Coast. he said we were hesitant to offer, but we decided to offer the Bhagavatam set at a fair, but we decided to try. And all we said was, one who has these books won't need any other book in their life. This set of books contains all the knowledge of the universe. And he said, this lady said, okay, I'll take a Bhagavad Gita and a set of these.
Wow.
And that was it. That was all he said. So, yeah, it's been really nice to see, even though in one sense, numbers are smaller when we try and get out and focus on the public, compared to previous years where we were just beginning and really just focusing on the congregation and making sure all our congregation had a set in their homes. But in another sense, it's growing because our ways and means of doing book distribution are growing, and the sets are going outside of our immediate congregation of devotees. I added this one in. This is little bit about, I thought I'd add this because Vaisheshika Prabhu will recognize this face. In this photo here on the right is Annie. And Annie is from, Annie came to Bhakti through, she joined an astrology course, which is online in America. The astrology teacher happened to be a devotee who directed her to the Bhakti community in the US, run by Vaisheshika Prabhu. She's been following Bhakti community for 2 years since it started. And I connected to her in Australia through the Bhakti community. She hadn't met any devotees in person. And I went to visit her in January and I told her how I was starting book tables in Sydney. She said, can we have one here in Bellingen, tiny country town, 6 hours north of Sydney? No devotees, nobody goes there. So a group of us went, set up a book table there. These photos are all from Bellingen, from the markets. We distributed one set of Srimad Bhagavatam, collected 20 names of people who are coming up and asking us, could we join a reading group? Some of them asked, could we join a Sangha? They have this term, they know. And so I wanted to include this because the two really work together, that we're distributing books and that we're also following up and taking care of people and helping them to read Srimad Bhagavatam. And let's see, sorry, I have to move something to be able to move this. There is one more. Distribution. Oh, the Brisbane community. Here they are. This is my last slide. And I just wanted to say that another thing we've learned is in communities where there's not a lot of book distribution taking place, because it's a very small community and we have a lot of them around Australia, and devotees may feel, oh, there isn't book distribution happening here. How can I, nothing for me to join. It really just takes, and devotees have proven here in Australia, it just takes one sincere devotee to start. And when one sincere devotee starts trying, others see and they get inspired. So that's happened in Perth. We've got one devotee there, never did book distribution before, decided to give it a go. Perth's goal was 15 sets. Last year they did 10. This devotee, Narottam Prabhu, he's retiring from work and he's decided to commit himself to book distribution service. The goal was 15. He's already distributed over 31
Wow.
sets. One devotee. Yeah. And then, of course, what happens is other devotees see that and go, oh, he can do it. It looks like fun. I'll come and try too. So the bottom left-hand side, this picture is actually Perth, and and the top one as well. And then on the right-hand side, we have devotees from Brisbane. And the same in Brisbane. Mahat Sevak Prabhu's on the call. He's been very dedicated for the last 2 years. Started by himself, just with the book distribution, built up, I think, last year they did 20 sets. This year he set a goal of 30 sets. And he has already distributed 53.
Wow.
Completely smashed the goal.
Guy.
And of course, the same things happen there. Devotees see, oh, here's one sincere devotee. This looks like a really nice project, let's help. And another devotee came along, and then two devotees came along, and then the devotee organizing the education programs for all the community in Brisbane with all the children got involved. And then more devotees, now the whole community is behind it. And they've already, for a tiny centre, have already distributed 53 sets. So there's a little snapshot of what's going on in Sydney. Stop share there. In Australia over the last 4 months. And then, of course, we've got our bigger centres. Melbourne's already distributed 80 sets. Sydney's at 21, I think. They're aiming for 61, but they're going to be focusing on the next 4 weeks. Adelaide's coming along too. Canberra, again, a few devotees just starting out from scratch, and they've already smashed their goal. I think they were aiming for 11 and they're at 14, and they've set a new goal of 22.
This is amazing. The principle you mentioned about how one person who shows an example and has a breakthrough then opens the way for many other people is historically the way book distribution has expanded. It's a human phenomenon anyway. There's a historical event that I included in my book, Our Family Business, and that was that nobody had ever run a mile in under 4 minutes. And there were theories that it was humanly impossible to do such a thing until one person did it after thousands of years, at least of what we know was recorded. And the most amazing thing wasn't that he broke the record, but that after that, it became commonplace. Everyone started doing it. And there's a lot of psychological barrier. The other principle is that if you just show, even if you don't know if it's going to go, and make the books visible and just mention them, then Lord Chaitanya sends people. It's the third law of book distribution, that the more you show, the more you sell. Once when I was at the beach with Vijay Prabhu, maybe 30 years ago, we were at the Rath Yatra in a kind of remote corner near the beach where people just walking around. And he kept pointing to the Bhagavatam with people. And I said, you really think you're going to sell a set here on the beach? He said, well, I might as well try, right? And I was busy talking to someone else, and I turned around and the set was gone. And I said, what happened to the books? And he goes, I just sold them. And that's a samskar in my mind about how if you keep trying and you keep showing, then Krishna sends somebody. And I love that incident you mentioned there about how Prabhu had set up the booth and then the set had gone out, and how others are specializing and Krishna's giving them more and more intelligence. What a nice presentation. This should be seen all over the world, Vilas Manjari. Fantastic. Would like to step back to New Zealand and have your presentation, Gita Govind, if you don't mind.
Thank you so much. Sorry about that. Yeah, I just wanted to share some of the nectar from New Zealand. So I'll just share my screen here, if that's okay.
Please.
So we had a mid-year marathon, June 24th to July 8th. And devotees were distributing sets on the streets to people that they didn't know or met for the first time. So this is one gentleman that got a set from one of our distributors, Akarshini Mataji. And the story is she met him in a car park about 3 years back in kind of a posh suburb, and he had gotten a Bhagavad Gita from her. So on this particular day, it was really cold and rainy. And she just go back to the suburb because there's a mall there and there's some cover. Just sitting there. And he passed by again. He remembered her actually, and is going through a difficult time and has taken up yoga in my Bhagavatam. He got the set. Sorry. And then we have Mrs. Mandranya Devidasi, and she met this lady who lives in a van. She's very, very low income on the benefit. had no way to get money. She had a son, or she has a son with a lot of disabilities, and she was just saying, "There's no way I can buy these books. There's just no way for me to get them." But this devotee sat down with her and just really spoke from her heart about the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam, and just really shared from her heart and said, "You know, you really need this in your life." So the lady just ended up whipping out a card and just paid for the entire set. This is
Is it me or is it Gita Govinda's internet is going slowly?
Yes, Prabhu. Gita Govinda, we can't hear her. Her voice is choppy.
The owner of Yoga Studios, there another way that we were selling it. Oh,
Gita Govinda, we're having a hard time hearing you. It's sounds like there's a bottleneck in your internet because your voice is pixelating, if that's even a concept in audio. But yeah, it's going really slow.
sorry about that.
That's
Sorry
okay.
about that. Is this better?
So far, so good.
Okay. I just had a couple of more. So yeah, this is the second last one. So we're also calling yoga studios. So this lady is the owner of a yoga studio, called around to her. She had a little library at her studio. So we went in, I went with another devotee and we just spoke to her, and she said she's really financially, hard out because of COVID, the impact of COVID. So we said, these books will bring new customers into your studio, attract positive energy. And so she did decide to get the set and pay in installments. And last one here, we have some sponsored sets that we're distributing to libraries around the country. So this devotee has just given this library a set. So we're calling around to libraries and telling them about the set and asking them to accept it for circulation.
We don't see the picture. Yes, I don't.
Let's see the picture.
I still see the yoga studio. Maybe can everybody else see the last picture, or can you see the yoga studio only?
I see the yoga studio, Prabhu.
Okay.
Let me just. Okay. Sorry, I'm not sure what happened there. I'm not sure how to get that picture back, but yeah, that's another initiative that we're doing, is sharing them with libraries. And what we have coming up is we're going to have a table at our Janmashtami outreach event called Krishna on Sale, where we're going to have the Bhagavatam set displayed with a devotee standing at a stall to answer any questions that people might have on Bhagavatam. We have devotees going door to door on the weekends, and we're also going to have a set Loka week leading up to Radhastami, where the community will go out on book tables for most of the day, every day for that week. And we're encouraging devotees to pitch, to pledge the number of pitches that they want to make for Srimad Bhagavatam. So just trying to get more into that consciousness of pitching Bhagavatam to people that we meet at book tables. So we just wanted to beg for your blessings, Prabhu, and all the devotees here, that we can reach our goal.
What a great presentation. It was amazing. I love that picture. All the pictures are just so moving. And the one with you sitting with the yoga teacher who had hard times during COVID, and then seeing the set in her yoga studio and how you explained to her that it will change her fortune having it there and bring spiritual vibration. It's so true. And I was thinking that for devotees, when we go anywhere, if you go to somebody's house and they don't have the Bhagavatam, you start thinking what is this place? And on the other side, if you go to a place like some ordinary yoga studio and walk in and you see a set of Prabhupada's books, you immediately identify that, wow, there's devotees here. I mean, it really defines the environment so much. I loved how you put that. And, the spirit, the intrepid spirit of your team there is just amazing. I think it's the most consequential because you're breaking through to audiences that have never been touched before. And finally, I mean, I liked everything about your presentation, but I love the idea of counting how many pitches you're making, because that's where the rubber meets the road. And if you have that as a metric and encourage the devotees just to make the pitches and that's what counts, I think that's really brilliant. As usual, fantastic. Thank you very, very much. We pray you smash your goals. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
And Shamahini, should we show more slides and then ask Rukmini Mohan to go?
I can bring up the map for Fiji, Prabhu, and then
Let's
Rukmini
do it.
Mohan can-
Let's look at Fiji. It's so helpful to see these maps, right? Yeah, it's just human nature. When we see a target, then it makes it compelling to want to hit it, doesn't it, everybody? If you think so, give me a thumbs up or something, because I can't see everybody.
Yes, thanks, Prabhu.
Okay, let's look at Rukmini Mohan's domain here. This is the leading indicator country, the way Rukmini Mohan and country goes, the way the rest of the world goes. So we had 2021 pledge was 9. He did 21, and the current pledge is 28. Does that mean that
26, Prabhu.
way ahead of the game, Shamahini?
Sorry, Prabhu?
So what does it mean? The current pledge is 28, and what it means 23% increase from last year. What does it mean?
Because their pledge was 9. Last
Yeah.
year, the pledge was 9, and the 23% increase would be 11, but their current pledge is 26. So they're
Well, what did they do last year?
They did 30 sets. Right?
Okay.
Rukmini Mohan Prabhu, you can
Yeah.
confirm. Those
Yes, actually, Shamamohini Mataji and Vaishishika Prabhu, Danvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. We did actually 23 sets last year, Prabhu. Actual sets were 23. The actual sets that were distributed was 23. It could have been 30. It's just that because they were pre-orders and there were 7 sets that still needs to go out really, and those who pledged it really were not able to take it. So I've decided to not to take any pre-orders at this stage. It's just whatever is there, it needs to be distributed. So Prabhu. So.
Well, that's a good concept.
Yeah. So Prabhu, I just wanted to just mention that we have 26 sets as goal for this campaign. And Singatoka, if we start with the far left, Singatoka, they've already met their goal. They'll be able to distribute 5 sets. And the 2 Matajis there in Singatoka, Guru Smarna Mataji and Shavanya Mataji. So both are very actively involved in support in book distribution and supporting this campaign. And Shavanya Mataji has distributed 3 sets to the high schools in West, actually, 3 Bhagavatam sets. And she found a sponsor for these 3 sets, and she was able to, for the libraries of these schools, these 3 schools. So I just wanted to show a picture. If it's okay, then I'll like to share that screen.
Yes, Prabhu, you should be able to share.
I was just trying to complete this, but it's not as complete as it could possibly be. But this, some pictures I've just put it just now, arranged it just now. So if you see in the middle, there's Shavanya Mataji. This is in one of the high schools. The complete set is being distributed there to the principal of that school. And she went to another school with a very senior devotee, Brajnath Prabhu on the far right, and she distributed, Brajnath Prabhu gave that sponsored set to, offered the sponsored set to another school, and that's the principal there, the lady principal of the school, Tabua College. She's receiving on behalf of the school. So these will be placed in the school libraries. And Balata High in the bottom there, this one over here, is again a complete set has been distributed to another high school library. And so far we have been able to distribute 8 sets out of 26. And we are hoping that we will be able to meet the goals come 10 September. Just wanted to also mention that now when we go on Harinams, we display the Srimad Bhagavatam sets. I was trying to look for those pictures, but I'm sorry, but perhaps next presentation, I'll be able to show all those pictures where we are displaying Srimad Bhagavatams. Is a means, of course, for the outreach programs, when these are conducted, we also now make sure that we have Srimad Bhagavatam sets displayed there as well. So,
Wow.
way to go. There's some more work that needs to be done to come up with the 26 to meet the goal. And now I think there's going to be really more focus now for this particular month. You know, and now we are coming close to end of this campaign. There's only 4 weeks left, so we will be giving this more priority in terms for the distribution of Bhagavatam sets. Thank you, Prabhu.
Rukmini Mohan, I love how you're innovating and getting into the schools and just watching how there's a human interaction and somebody with intelligence and full knowledge of what they're doing is taking the books into the institution. And Prabhupada did that himself. He went around India to various libraries, institutions, colleges, academies of all sorts, and placed his 3 volumes of the Srimad Bhagavatam and also sold standing orders. And some of those were still there when devotees went years after Prabhupada did. And it's just such a foundational service you're doing there. It's really amazing. Thank you very much for your enthusiasm and for rallying the troops there.
Thank you.
Do
so
you
much,
have
Prabhu.
enough inventory to smash your goal there?
We have, Prabhu, we have just received a second set of shipment from Australia, so we are okay.
Okay.
And the emphasis is now going to be for this month, of course, to try to meet the goal, Prabhu.
Okay, this is fantastic. Excellent. Really good. Okay, good. Fantastic. All right. Then for the next, we're going to now go to Nimai Sachisuta, because we want to hear how you're doing in Thailand and what kind of realizations you're having over there. Do we have any? Yes, we do have the whole earth here charted out. And do we have Thailand on there? No. So let's hear directly from you right now, Nimai Sachisuta Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Good to see you.
Thank you. Please accept my humble obeisances. So the goal last year was 25, and I was talking with Syama Mohini Mataji, and we were setting the goal for 20 because the shipment had not arrived yet, but she encouraged us to have it 23% more. So I think I calculated it to be 31. So we have ordered 40 sets, and it's going to arrive on the day of Janmashtami. So I think we'll have the pledge of 31. I'll also talk to devotees if we can increase the goals. Just by hearing all the devotees here, things are going on in my mind how to do it. Although it seems impossible, I think it's possible. So we have the goal, which is 31, and we'll try to have it done. Thank you.
Nicely done, Nimai Sachisuta Prabhu. one of the most important aspects of book distribution, of course, is getting books. It's the second law of book distribution, to watch the inventory and get it. And it's so great to hear you're getting it in by John Mashtami, when you'll be able to do something. I'd mentioned that several centers have had really big success by bringing up the Bhadra Purnima during the festivals. Like, can you stay on screen just for a second? Bringing the Bhagavatam to light during the festivals, like the Janmashtami festival and other special occasions when people are at the temple for festivities. If you show a video, and we do have a video you can show, it's kind of generic. Are you still there, Nimai? Prabhu? I might have lost him. Okay,
We
so
can't see him, Prabhu, but I think he's there. Nimai Sachisuta Prabhu, your camera is black, like the screen is black now.
anyway, he may be able to hear, but somehow he's muted. So we found that showing a video as a preamble to explain what's going on, and then just offering an opportunity for people to make pledges for sets during that environment, as it can be really productive. And also, if it turns out somebody doesn't have as many sets as they'd like to distribute, we have experience from last year in France when the devotees were very enthusiastic for Bhadra Purnima, but they didn't yet have their sets of books in French. And we told them about standing orders and the way devotees used to sell full sets of books before they were even written, and people bought them. So what to speak of if they're already written and they're just on their way? It's quite a natural progression, and people do things like that all the time. They buy stuff that gets shipped later. So you can always make a nice presentation and say, you know, you can buy it now and we'll ship it to you, or we'll have it to you at a certain date. Well, so exciting to hear what's going on over there. Thank you very much, Nimai Sachi Sutta.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Okay, so let's look at again at that map of the world.
Yes, Prabhu.
And we'll show the video too. Have you seen it? Okay, actually just show the video first, if you have it.
Yes, Prabhu.
So usually, I'll wait till afterwards to make any comments. I'm not getting any sound. Shamahini,
Yes, Prabhu.
there's no sound.
Um, Sorry, Prabhu. I can try again. I thought I shared the sound. I can try again. Sorry.
Not getting it now either. Well, that's okay. We can just share the link then. Vilas Manjari, can you hear anything?
Sorry, Prabhu. Was the
No,
sound?
there's no sound. Sometimes, Shamahini, you know, you have to tick that extra box when you share your screen.
I did do that, and I'm not sure why it's happening.
Okay.
Anukul
No
Seva Prabhu
sound.
is usually the one who manages our AV with the videos on the call, but I can put the link in the chat, nevertheless.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure why I'm not able to share sound. I just put the link in the chat.
Thank you so much. So, it's helpful to remember why we do anything in order to stay inspired. And there's a principle called the Jericho principle. And that is when anybody's engaged in a project and a mission, you have to remind them regularly why they're doing the mission. Don't assume they know. And don't think you're saying it too much, because the more you mention the reason why it's important and you mention the benefits, the more people become attracted and stay inspired. And we get inspired to do that which is important. And there are always various activities that are vying for that position of being the most important. And unless we frame it and mention it and tell why it's important, and also help people to stay absorbed in Bhagavatam, like hearing from the Bhagavatam so they feel it for themselves, they can start thinking that, oh, it's just a quaint activity, or maybe it's not so important. However, it is really important, because there's only one tangible way in order to help any individual or the world in general, and that is to change the sound vibration. And the best of all is the Srimad Bhagavatam. Aradra Bhagavan Vrajesha Tanayasta Dhamma Vrindavan Ramya Kachudupasana Vraja Vidu Vargena Valkalpita Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam Prema Pumarto Mahan. These were the points that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu considered the most important. And one among them was the Srimad Bhagavatam as the perfect book. He also said that out of all the 64 items of devotional service, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam was in the select 5 that even if you only had a little tiny bit of connection with, you would make rapid advancement in devotional service. Even if you didn't have faith in it, if you just weren't offensive, just like neutral at least, and you had a little contact, you make advancement. So it's actually such a boon for people to get the Bhagavatam. And we have to explain it to them. That's why they give you all the big bucks spiritually. It's for taking this heavy lifting and really explaining it to people. And also telling your group, this is important because it's a core part of our mission. It's actually the way that changes the world. And it's very pleasing to Srila Prabhupada. He did it himself. Any evidence you can bring forth in nuanced and new ways to show people that and remind them it never goes in vain. So that's helpful, and you can do that. And it's never too late. This is the Katvanga principle. Whenever you start, you can make progress. And you don't know how much progress you're going to make until you actually jump in and start. Don't think, well, I waited too long, I might as well not do anything. If you even start at the last second, as Katvanga did, he was successful. He's famous for it. He's famous for starting at the last minute, and he made a complete success, so much so that he's famous eternally now for having taken advantage of that last moment. So whenever you can muster the strength, do it and inspire your people to go for it whenever they can. You can do a lot in the last bit of time, whatever's available. There's a phenomenon to think that if I can't do everything, then I might as well do nothing. But that doesn't hold true in devotional service, because neha bikramanashosti pratyavayo navidyate solpamapya siddharmasya trayate mahato bayat. Even a little advancement on this path saves one from the most dangerous type of fear. And everything is counted and recorded, and it all adds up. And we're seeing now, just watching the evolution of each one of our teams, we can all see it, that a little step at a time, and a little more faith everyone has, a little more resources. We have muscle memory from the year before, what we did, what worked, what didn't work. And as we continue to grow, we get more capacity. That's what we're looking for. We want more capacity. And if we can do that as we continue, then we're going to open a pathway that's going to help the world. As Prabhupada said, this massive book distribution will save the world from its suicide course. And just imagine they're on a suicide course and we're the ones to help them. I see that ISKCON Sri Sri Radha Madhava has just checked in, and I'm ecstatic. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Welcome. would you like to say a few words about how things are going there?
And Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you.
Krishna.
I'm sorry I'm late. Sorry, Mataji. Actually, we just finished with our program here. Now, when I receive a message from the group chat about your talk about on distribution or save earth, so through Srimad Bhagavatam, so I forgot. Oh my God, I'm really sorry. But thank you once again. I really want to hear all about book distribution, especially from Vice Iseka Prabhu. It's never too late. Thank you. Better late than never. Thank you so much. And of course, we would like to um, learn more on how to distribute Srimad Bhagavatam, especially me, because I'm handling ISKCON Manila, and I still have to learn more on how to distribute Srimad Bhagavatam or Srila Prabhupada's books. So that's why I really find time to join this lecture or this class, so that I can also share this to the devotees here in the Philippines. And we've been also, Prabhu, this coming November, actually, the class will be back to normal, and we will try our best to distribute Srimad Bhagavatam to the any universities here in the Philippines. I'm a teacher, so it's easy for me to distribute to the teachers and to any schools and universities. And I need your help, Prabhu, on how to, share this knowledge, especially distributing Srimad Bhagavatam to the professors and teachers and to the educators.
Indra Valley, Devi, what time is it there?
It's 9:30 a.m. Prabhu. 8 to 9
Magandang
it's
umaga.
Srimad Bhagavatam class, and I just finished giving Srimad Bhagavatam class.
Magandang umaga. Okay, we had a presentation by Rukmini Mohan Prabhu, whose devotees are going into the schools. So that's really good. We also have a lot of resources for training. Shamahini, please tell about the resources for training.
So we have presentations, recorded presentations that you can watch. We also have resources like at a glance cards, presentations that you can use to distribute Srimad Bhagavatam. We have print resources like flyers that can be used, and we can also arrange for training for you with experts that can help train your community on how to distribute Srimad Bhagavatam sets.
Thank you, Mataji. Yeah, I will and share this with the devotees. And I will also try to ask our Guru Maharaj Giridhari Swami, at least the entire Philippines. Actually, Prabhu, it's also my desire, to to all the Filipino devotees to join with this class, and then we can also combine all the results, so we can also share this to you or to everyone.
Fantastic. Way to go. Well, Philippines is famous for book distribution. So thank you very much for carrying forward in the tradition there with such a spirit of enthusiasm. We're really grateful.
Yes, thank you also.
Our obeisances to all the devotees there. And Shamahini will put up a link in the chat here where you can get resources from too. We have
Okay.
Mahat Sevaka Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. A question for Shyam Mohini Mataji. Do we have artwork that we could use to design banners, like pull-up banners or the banners that can go with tables?
Yes, Prabhu, I know that Vilas Manjari Mataji had relayed your request for having designs for banners and pull-out banners and tablecloths, and our team is working on it, and we hope to get them to you very soon.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, we'll try the video one more time from a
Sure.
different
Sham Bhakti,
computer, and let's just see if we do it this time.
Sham Bhakti Mataji, please go ahead.
Sure, Mataji, I'll try.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Just give me a moment.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Can you see my screen?
Yep,
Can you hear my audio too?
can hear you, but not the video, but the video's not on.
I don't think.
Sorry, could you hear my audio?
No.
No, it wasn't coming through.
So
Sorry.
it's not working for me too.
That's all right. Everyone can look at it individually. Thank you, everybody. So let's just see if there's any last reflections from the meeting today before we head off to work on our goals. Anybody especially hasn't spoken yet who would like to utter a few words of encouragement for the rest of the world? And if you're going to speak, it helps if you unmute. So Jyoti, Lakshmi Priya, Jayashri, Krishna Bhavana, Teresa. Well, we've seen some evidence today of Lord Chaitanya's mercy. We're doing the hard work. I was reading today, or actually listening to Prabhupada talk about his spiritual master and how when he first was in Ottadanga and heard the instruction, which was yesterday, 100 years ago, 100 years ago yesterday, when he walked up those steps and sat down, he offered his obeisances to his spiritual master and sat down. And as he was sitting, his spiritual master sized him up and said, please spread this to the Western world in English. And he said on that day, he took that order into his heart and he let it incubate there. He had external circumstances didn't allow him to get started for quite some time, including trying to make money so that he could give it to his guru to distribute the books. But that didn't work out, as we all know. He came penniless to the United States, but he did bring the Bhagavatam. And when he got the chance, he started presenting it, and he urged us over and over and over again to distribute books. He always wanted the Bhagavatam sets to go out. And now we have a short lifespan, everybody. It's very short. Comes and goes in a blink of an eye. But we can make a complete success of this life by serving a pure devotee, what to speak of serving the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is sacred service like no other. When people get Bhagavatam sets, their lives change and the world changes. So this effort we're making together as one team, encouraging one another, everyone doing whatever they can, fearlessly, daring and active, just trying to do the best we possibly can and try to increase our capacity. This is going to connect us in the most profound way to Srila Prabhupada and to the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The devotees who do book distribution, Prabhupada said, are become famous overnight. Overnight, he said, just like during wartime. He told us when we were in Chicago and we were battling there to get books out. And he wrote a letter saying, just like an insignificant farm boy joins the military, and they send him to the front lines, and he does a couple of heroic acts and saves somebody, saves a couple of people on the front lines. Then he comes home a national hero. He never would have been known for anything in his life, but he came home a national hero. So it's at times like these when the timing is perfect and we have the opportunity and we have everything in our hands, we should just really try to extend ourselves as much as possible. Let's make history. And at least let's go down trying harder than anybody's tried for anything in their lives. It's just so important. There's so much at stake, and it's a powerful high sadhana to involve ourselves in these high literature of the distribution of Srimad Bhagavatam. My deepest thanks to Shamahini, who's relentless in keeping this campaign going, actually 24/7 and 365. There's no breaks whatsoever. Anakul Seva, Prabhu, and everybody else on our internal team. And to all of you leaders, you showed up here for a reason, because you have a spark in your heart for serving on the highest level. And I couldn't be more pleased to serve by your side. And thank you very much for joining. Please spread the word and keep the transcendental vibration going. Remind everybody in a methodical but very pleasant and non-condescending way that this is high sadhana, and that we're going to make our mark on the planet mostly by the volume of literature and the quality of literature that we're distributing. People will come to know how important it is one day. So, Rukmini Mohan Prabhu, you're the leading indicator country. So we're all watching you. Hare Krishna, everybody. Dear Srila Prabhupada, dear Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shishi Panchatattva, Shishi Gaurnitai, Shishi Radha Madan Mohan, Shishi Lakshmi Nrsingadev, if you so desire, please empower our global team to smash our goals, to please you, and to save the conditioned souls, and to save the world from its suicide course. Please, please, please empower us. Thank you very much for considering our request. Everyone who agrees with this prayer in whole or in part, please unmute and say Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Gaur Parimanande, Hari Hari Bo.
Hari Hari
Bhakti
Bo.
Vischa, Kripa Sindhabe Vicha, Patitanam
Pavanebhyo